Hi Cancer, this is your astrological prognosis for the month of June with me Lada from astrolada.com, and you need to know what your ascendant sign is for proper astrological prognosis. I would advise you, if you know your time of birth, go to my website astrolada.com, go to my birth chart calculator, enter the data for your birth time and the place of birth, and once you know your ascendant sign and its degree, listen to the full prognosis for the ascendant sign because these are the most astrologically precise one, and then listen to your moon and sun sign prognosis as well, and you can know what your sun. Everyone knows what their sun sign is. If you're born June or July, you're Cancer. The sun was in Cancer, but you don't know what your moon sign is, which will also show a very personal prognosis for you. And I would say the sun and the moon together do like 50% of the prognosis, and the ascendant does the other 50%. The ascendant sign prognosis, but the moon, the sun prognosis are especially relevant if you hear your exact day of birth being mentioned, or if you hear the exact degree of your moon being mentioned. Then whatever I'm talking about is extremely relevant. Otherwise, you might just focus on the ascendant sign prognosis. So, what does June hold for you, Kansas? Well, first of all, one very big event is happening for you, and this is that Jupiter, the planet which is the big benefic in astrology, the planet that brings you closer to fulfillment and to happiness, the planet that opens doors of opportunities for you. This is God's blessing from above, the planet which gives openly, especially if it heals, it gives opportunities, optimism, and happiness, whatever it's passing through. Jupiter is going to make the events of these affairs of your life much more productive, much more happier and fulfilled and expansive. And Jupiter is going into your 12th house from June, and it's going to stay there for 1 year. And I'm not saying that immediately in June you're going to feel it, but maybe throughout the next 12 months you'll definitely feel it, especially if your ascendant is in Cancer, or your moon or sun, but to a lesser degree. But if your ascendant is in Cancer, Jupiter will be in your 12th house. And 12th house is a very intangible, it's a very emotional house, it's a house, psychological house, it's not a material house. So if you're really hoping for great material achievements and maybe starting something big, making it happen big, well, that's not going to be the time for you, because when Jupiter is in the 12th house, it wants to expand the subconscious, it wants to expand the emotional side of your life, it wants to expand the more spiritual side of your life. So this will be a great time for the next 12 months to focus on spiritual development, and actually this will be the best spiritual period for spiritual development for 12 years ahead and before, so once in 12 years opportunity to work on your subconscious, to work on working out. The 12th house is the house of karma as well. So 12th house is good karmas from past life. If you've done something good to someone, when Jupiter passes through your 12th house, this Jupiter will bring out those good things from that you've done to a past life. So you can still have quite positive events in your life, but to be honest, they're not due to your merit in this life. They're not due to what you've been trying hard to do on a practical material level. It's more to do with something that you haven't actually that you've done in a past life. So it's coming from the subconscious. It's not coming from your conscious mind. It's not like you've been working hard on plans or wanting some desire, and when Jupiter passes through a 12th house, it's gonna give it. No, it's gonna bring something positive that you've deserved from the past, or something subconscious that you need, that you're not consciously aware you need this. And 12th house is the house of the spiritual world, and Jupiter is like an angel. While Jupiter is in your 12th house for the next 12 months, you're protected. You're psychically protected. The 12th house is astral beings, kind of all these invisible worlds we don't see. Uh, d- Angels, demons, whatever. Just everything in the material world that is beyond the material world. So all these psychic energies, all the subconscious of the mind, basically the material world, they say it's 1% of what the universe is created of. The rest 90% is invisible. So is the conscious mind, probably 1 or 2%, and the rest 98% is subconscious. So basically, the big positive things are happening in your life, they're happening subconsciously somehow. And you're probably healing some wounds from before. That's what Jupiter can do in the 12th house. It can heal wounds from your past. It can heal your subconscious even without you being conscious of it. You know, it works on your emotional worlds, and your emotions become more intense than normal, more not exaggerated, but more expansive. So you become more compassionate towards others. In the next 12 months, definitely you feel like helping others, and if you do that, you're making really good karma for yourself that you can reap up later, and you will feel in a more generous state. 12th house is the house of giving. So everything that you give to others, it's everything spending as well. You might be spending more in the next 12 months. You're not in a state of producing something and sustaining or growing something. You're in a state more of letting go, spending, because the 12th house is the last house of astrology before the first house comes, before your sign Cancer comes, you know. And it means that you're finishing first a big life cycle of 12 years in your life, starting from June in the next 12 months. And it's more has a feeling of ending certain things rather than beginning new things, you know. So I wouldn't recommend you fully to start the biggest projects in your life within the next 12 months. Just first clear your, you know, clear the old responsibility, old things that you have to do, endings, you know. And actually you can complete quite good certain things that you started doing in the past years or whatever. You can finally complete them in a positive way when Jupiter is in the 12th house, because wherever Jupiter passes, it brings positive ending to this, or positive development. And because 12th house is endings, completions of cycles, so positive completion of a cycle. So if you have to let go of certain things, you will do in the next 12 months, and it will be with ease, without too much trauma, you know. And you kind of start feeling, especially if your ascendant is in Cancer, you start feeling how it's the ending of a cycle. And you might feel more withdrawn, you might feel more introverted and wanting to spend more time on your within yourself, withdrawing from reality, or withdrawing from the material world. So you can be much more busy within yourself, within your own head, or within, even praying or meditating more, or even going on a retreat somewhere. 12th house is retreating from the world, from the material things. 12th house is the least material house. 12th house is the house of spending, is the house of holidays. And it's not so much a holiday as retreat somewhere from the world. So it's a great time within the next 12 months, go on a holiday to some exotic place. Or even retreat from the material world so much, you know, get a sabbatical or whatever. Travel somewhere far away, or just dedicate yourself to much more spiritual work. And by spiritual work, I mean being more introspective, more introvert, in within yourself, you know, isolating a bit more, spending more time in nature, you know, spend more time within yourself, clear yourself. You're clearing away old karmic wounds, you know, you're finishing a cycle, cleaning yourself. Jupiter is preparing, cleaning your subconscious so it can prepare you to start a brand new fresh start from 2013, from the summer, when Jupiter will be in your sign Cancer. So right now, don't be hard on yourself. Let go, enjoy it, try and do more relaxing and enjoyable, how to say, mind relaxing activities that put you into subconscious. Maybe it's a great time for hypnotherapy because you're more suggestive than other times. You'll be much more easily put into hypnotism. Great time for um, uh, you know, healing, going to a spa, healing therapists, reading more spiritual literature, reading more for the soul, you know, spending time within nature. So you see, it's like a withdrawn, beautiful, easy flowing energy, and the invisible worlds are protecting you. So you're feeling kind of self within yourself as well, you know. So it's not too period to push forward. Of course, some of you can be starting a lot of important things within the next 1 year, but to be honest, the really more important things that you realize what you'll be able to start from 2013 onwards. So give yourself 1 year of healing, recovery, of healing wounds, of more spiritual works, more spiritual advancement. If you're not spiritual, people just more retreat, you know, from the world, you know, and pleasures, lonely pleasures, as they say, you know, finding pleasures within yourself. Oh, that sounds weird, I know. But indeed, 12th house is also the house of charity. So if now, while Jupiter is there, within the next 1 year, you're being more charitable to others, more helpful to others, you're giving from yourself, servicing, whether it's money, whether it's your time, whether it's your attention, or just paying, just talking with your friends who are more in need, or people who are more in need, more, or giving of your time, then if you do that, Jupiter will definitely guarantee you something positive coming out of this, and you're not gonna feel it now while Jupiter is around, because when Jupiter is around, you give from yourself, you're the charitable, but later on, the good karma, you will reap it. So it's a great time to be giving, to be more gentle, more kind to others. Spiritual work, so to speak, and you're feeling protected. For those of you who are more in the imaginative professions, this can be a great period within the next 12 months if your ascendant is in Cancer, or Sun or Moon as well, because the 12th house is a house of imagination, those of you who are trying to influence, to work with the subconscious energy, or trying to influence others, people's subconscious minds. So for psychologists, that would be a good time. This would be a good time for maybe people working in fashion or in advertising, because they're working with the subconscious. They're trying to influence other subconscious energies. They're working with more mystical energies of the mind, of the subconscious mind. People who are creative, more creative. If you're in the creative type of work, this will be also a good period for you, because Jupiter will expand your creativity coming from the subconscious, and maybe some of you might even start getting memories from past lives, or having extremely vivid dreams, because 12th house is the house of dreams, and you will start feeling it from June onwards. Your subconscious gets very active, and some things can start coming up on the surface. And those of you who are not so spiritually inclined, they'll be in a more state of relaxing, taking it easy, and spending more, having a few more enjoyments. That's what Jupiter will give in the 12th house. And at the same time, uh, you're also having the whole of June, the bigger part of June, not only Jupiter, but three other planets in your 12th house, Cancers. So these planets will move from there very quickly. By the end of June, you'll start feeling the change. But the last part of May and the first 20 days of June, all these planets, faster moving planets, they're also in your 12th house. So you're not so energized, you're not so full of energy, you're in a much more relaxed frame of mind. If you can go to a holiday, go to a holiday, especially if your ascendant is in Cancer now, or the moon and the sun to a lesser degree, as I keep saying, because it's time for retreat, and you might not feel so ambitious and motivated the whole end of May and the beginning of June. You can feel in a much more flowing state. So it's good time. Maybe some of you feel like watching TV, more escapism activities. 12 houses, escapism, reality, escapism, the material world, and it's great to spend it in nature. And your imagination and subconscious mind is overactive. You're more emotional than normal the whole month. The same influences that I told you that Jupiter will bring for the whole year again, for the whole year starting from June, you have them much intensified in June, the end of May, because of those other planets that are activating this part of the horoscope as well. And don't worry, from the end of June, from the second part of June, all those faster moving planets are going to your first house, so you feel more energized. And if you want to start something new, and again, I say I wouldn't advise you to start like a really, really big projects until Jupiter goes into your sign next year, 2013. But if you want, to have more energy for work, or to be more inspired, to dive into the material, practical world, and to live your life or whatever, to be more active, you will start getting those energy back to feeling more active from the end of March, from the end of June 2012. But the first part, it's more, you know, the ocean, rolling around. You're drifting in the ocean of the subconscious mind more. And I just want to give you specific dates. There is an eclipse also in your sixth house, but I don't think it's going to influence you much unless you have planets in Sagittarius. If you know your birth chart, calculate it. If you're watching it, see if you have any important planets in Sagittarius. Maybe then it can influence you. But otherwise, I wouldn't want to scare you, because eclipses are usually more scary things. but they're happening in Sagittarius, far away from the sign of Cancer. And unless you have planets in Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, Venus, it's not going to affect you so much. And sixth house is the house of health, so there might be some worries and scares about health. Oh, sixth house is the house of practical affairs of life, so you kind of lose your mind there a bit more. And as I said, all those planets in the 12th house are taking you away from practical affairs. They're putting you in emotional world, in a dreamland, or in much more emotional state rather than practical state. And the eclipse, when it happens in the sixth house, you might feel overwhelmed or somehow panicky or worried. The eclipse is like eclipse of the mind. The light is taken away from that area of your life, and the sixth house, you might feel it, as your routines, your errands, your daily agenda, the efficiency of your work, the work that you're doing, and your health. It's much more material, practical, everyday events rather than the 12th house, you know, which are spiritual, emotional, inner influences. So that's where you might have some stress, but nothing too big. I don't want to scare you. And I want to give you specific days, those who are born from on the 15th, 16th, and 17th of July, or those who have their ascendant in 22, 23, 24, maybe a degree before 22 and after 24, ascendant or moon in Cancer, they're having Saturn influence, so they're having it a bit harder than others. And Saturn, as I say, is a demanding planet. It's a planet of separations or restrictions and limitations. It's a planet of criticism, so you might be feeling it from within yourself or from outside. Just difficulties, obstacles, like making things, taking away the faith and positivity from you to some extent. But if you're hardworking and mature and responsible person, you can overcome this easier. But generally, more difficulties and delays happen while Saturn is around, or it might affect your relationship. Difficult, whether it's in your mind that you feel negative about relationships, or some circumstances in your life, or whether they really are not going well, but you will feel a bit of a stress. But it's for very few people. It's not for. It's a very small group of cancers that will feel that, and they've been feeling it for the past 9 months anyway. For the past 7, 8 months. So a little bit more testing for you. But Saturn toughens us, and Saturn, even if you feel really down, I'm in a Saturn period. The best thing is to work, work, work. Um, but that's a very small percentage of the cancers we were talking about. And just for cancers who are going through Saturn transits, pray a bit more, trust your higher self, because Saturn tends to take away the faith from a person, so they feel more down and more negative. But otherwise, for all the other cancers, it's time to kick back, to relax now, to be in touch with their subconscious more, to examine the emotions, to be more charitable and giving and easygoing, and ending cycles. They're starting a big one-year ending cycle, and particularly it's intensified. It's a smaller cycle within the big cycle. Is in at the end of May, the beginning of June, when the other planets are also activating your 12th house. So maybe something is finishing in your life, and you're starting a new cycle, a new mini cycle from the end of June, and a big cycle from next June 2013. Anyway, Kansas, thank you so much, and I will see you next month.